Hi there, it's Matt. Just taking a walk, admiring the scenery, and thinking about the lullabies of my life, meaning the calming, comfortable moments and affairs. What truly has given me happiness, even through, let me just speak loudly, because there will be cars that will pass by. So what has truly given me, I kind of feel like going there, I kind of feel like venturing out a little bit from this walking on this trail. There's cars driving by, so that's not ideal, right? It seems to be government property, so I should be fine. Let's just cross. Okay, let's see what this says. Aircraft services. Of course. Just another flight training affair, I guess. I don't know. What do I know about the world anyways? That's one thing I've been thinking about, is what do I know about the world? And so every time I go depressed about this, which is every few days, I like to try to study up a bit on something culturally relevant. I've done it with a few things. I've done it with some articles. I've done it with some people in general. Really, it's kind of a beautiful thing to learn, and I feel I don't do it nearly enough, which is maybe a pronounced theme. Also, I just want to say a few things about life. So I feel right now I feel I'm the most blessed man alive. And the truth is maybe I'll never end up fully sharing why I feel this way, as mysterious as that may be. But I could swear that I feel like I'm the most blessed man alive. And let's just say this. The delusions in my life have certainly become more and more comforting. They've become more and more comforting. They've become a comfortable seance of lucidity instead of a fragmented, frightening detail. Maybe there was a point in time where I did the opposite of sugarcoat. I straight up fully stated the nefarious nightmare. And I went through life with depression at the helm. And nearly every single time that I would record a YouTube video, there would be some shade of depression in it, because what I came to realize is that it's very much who I was. The depression was who I was in a big way. Then I learned to overcome a big part of it and to retain health and happiness. And now I see the world in such a beautiful and pragmatic way. It's almost touching, the difference, It's really touching. And there was a point in time where I became convinced that I would fully lose my mind and that I would desecrate myself so thoroughly that it would know no end, my misery. But hell, I'm not quite starving, am I? I'm not starving or anything like that. I have the capability to pick up a phone. I have the capability to record videos. So how is that not so beautiful in of itself? You know, I've been having many thoughts and theories. So surprising, right? Given it seems I always say a bunch of government cars, government vehicles, the government gives me some kind of hope. At the same time, it gives me some kind of dismay. But overall, the government is such a necessary endeavor that it is insane. The government must exist for the civility to be quotidien. It is proven that even with prison time in store, theft will still happen. Theft happened to my mom lately. I'm not willing to elaborate, but she got stolen from. Not a cool thing. It kind of feels like a Grand Theft Auto, like a Grand Theft Auto moment where like I grab a gun, shoot the lock. But no, I do not own that, do I? And nor would I. That'd be so irresponsible. I hate it. You know, there's this interesting argument to be made on how the ownership of weaponry is solely so there can be an inequality, and a balance between the government and its people. Yet why is it that a revolt would always end in a failure? And how does that play into the equation? Because see, the thing is in some way it can feel like if you shot up a cop, it would be very hard to fight that case, even if the cop was wrongdoing. But thankfully, there's like video cameras on cops usually, so that creates a fair and balanced scenario in a way, so then maybe the cop would show his wrongs, or he could just be corrupted and say the camera wasn't working. I don't know how that would go. A lot of layers, but the point is that power is so ingrained in our society that there's only peaceful ways to contribute to it. There are no peaceful ways to disintegrate it. To rebuild the government from the ground up to a peaceful lens, it will never happen. And to me, like, that is sort of depressing, because it is clear that the government, with the lobbying, even in, probably especially in Canada, really, it needs some kind of rehaul, but it will never happen. It will never happen through a clean, pacifistic jurisdiction, through a clean, pacifist set of actions. It will never happen. So therefore, we are governmentally set in stone. You're set in stone. You know, I've been having thoughts about what life really means to me and why it is that I feel the most grateful guy right now lately. Like, as of the last 6 hours, I've just been the most grateful man. And the truth is there is such a, well, there's the front and center of the argument, which is how my life is doing. I do not work. I consider it a massive privilege to not work. I cannot work because my memory is crap, blah, blah, blah. My schizophrenia is still there, blah, blah, blah. But really, it was worse before. I'd like to look into working. I find it interesting to potentially work a job, but I cannot deny the lazy life, it pleases me greatly. It pleases me greatly to be able to accomplish my tasks whenever I want, to be able to work on music a few hours at like 2 in the morning and just not care and smoke up the next day and be fine. You know, maybe the point is that the disability system is something I'm heavily benefiting from. And I mean, that might piss a few people off, I don't know, because I'm not struggling as much as I was. Even I could not keep a job, so maybe that's the point. But if I were them, I'd worry about bigger things, you know. If I were them, I'd worry about the hypocrisy of the overt spending on money that then goes and fills up politicians' pockets instead of filling up the citizens. And the conservative and the right side of the argument of politics, you know, left, right, of course. On the right side, a heavy bias stigma exists against the, you know, the disability, the welfare. Holy shit, that is loud. Maybe I should have expected it. But really, I see them reinvent. I feel they reinvent nukes. I don't see them, but I feel they reinvent nukes for the 10th time in a year, a decade, or whatever. And all I can think is that's, I'm not making that money. I'm not making that amount of fucking money. Because they're barely even used. In fact, people don't use nukes out of the kindness of the matter. How interesting is that? Because it would cause world hysteria. So instead they'd like to blow themselves up piece by piece, right? So that the war is a prolonged venture and the people die more quickly, I guess. Or slowly, actually would be it. Slowly would definitely be it. You gotta wonder, what would be the implication of a nuke? It would blow up a huge part of the world. But would it stop a war? Would it keep on going? You know, Hiroshima. A very big thing. Because they bombed fucking, they bombed Japan, I think it was, with fairly small nuke, but enough to cause a massive damage. And they were just like forgiven. The US was like forgiven. And they did not even commemorate it until like 50 years later or something. Actually, Obama was the first one. Obama was the first one to straight up publicly recognize it. That's a bad thing, I think. Or it might have been some whisper, some other president's slight statements, but there was a big showing there. And Obama was like, it was a terrible tragedy. You know, it was a terrible tragedy. First one. Now, I was thinking about Obama. I did some looking up on Obama. For every good thing, I found a bad thing. Did you know Obama's first, like the U.S. president from 2008? Because I'm a Canadian. It's kind of weird that I'm talking about this shit in a way, but I think it must have been 2008. Served 2 terms. Yeah, it would be. Obama, his first bombing was not so good. It was a terrible endeavor. Beyond the inevitability, which is blowing up the surface, beyond the obvious, not a single terrorist was killed. I could swear that not a single terrorist was killed. Yet 52 people were killed. Many of them were pregnant women or children. What a tragedy. You know, Maybe if I were in that room, I couldn't help but blurt out, use your equipment better. Maybe I couldn't help but blurt out, don't be such a mess about things. Because that strikes me as a tragedy, right? Like, we as people, we have this kind of need for peace of mind. We want to know that we're safe and secure in our environment. We want to know that we can just take a walk and not get fucking bombed for it. So, I think there is such a despair that grew in a lot of the poorer places in the world because of the US administrations in general. But, Obama did not help much with that, but then he actually harmed that situation more than, I feel, presumably more than the other modern day presidents, but presumably. Shit. Sorry. Just the noise. But what I will say is that he had the right thinking for the citizens. He wanted Obamacare to be like so much more like progressive. It's just like the Republicans were like, hell no, it's going to cost us too much money. Then parentheses, by the way, congrats on the bombings, Obama. Like, they don't see the irony in the argument. I guarantee it. We're needlessly blowing each other up and we're spending money on it. It's not, it's not like it's free. They are spending money on the war effort because the powers that be then get money out of it. And what's really sad is that there is like such a grievance to the matter that is just like thrown under the fucking rug, like, you notice how like the veterans, they will prop up, they will praise the veterans of their country. I was talking about this with my brother. They will praise the veterans of their country. If you really believe in the veterans that much, find out a way to regrow the veterans' legs or to not fuck up his mentality. Figure it out by funding it as a government instead of funding your 1,000 nuke or 10,000 nuke. Figure out a medical program that heals your soldiers. As a matter of fact, I read this online. This sort of political leader or leader of sorts, I don't remember exactly, but he said that AI going into the battlefield is unnatural. While there is some sort of minute argument for the human soldiers heading into the battlefield leading to a more finite ending, I think that asking for humanity to be sacrificed out of the betterment of your comfort is quite a sad affair. If it were really logical and strategic, did the process, instead of sacrificing their citizens, they would have worked on automation as soon as they possibly could figure out what it means. They would have put the most funding ever in automation. In the process, people could have provided services to the US and Canada and all that. It applies everywhere. That genuinely bettered people's lives. And then the robots, whoever figured out the robots first, would have won the war. Would have won the world. And that would have been that. Instead, create some sort of pragmatic, light, equal standard. It's like it's not considered as an option. But really, automation with some sort of either manual guidance or artificial intelligence would have always been the key to saving the citizens' lives and to winning in the battlefield. Honestly, think about it, okay? They are forcing the mandate on the youthful populace. They're insane, dude. Every male has to go to war for like a few years in so many places, including we're at war right now. And, maybe the point is that it is a hilariously, massively, terribly managed affair. It is poorly managed in every way. Just the whole strategy behind it. Technology is not simple, yeah, but are nukes simple? The detonation is incredibly sophisticated. So are nukes really simple? Couldn't you have put the time that you put into the nuke program? Couldn't you put the time that you put into the nuke program into something like automation and AI? Couldn't there have been better priorities for the world than to go to war in the first place, though, right? Anyways, I was just thinking about that. This thing strikes me as stupid. I mean, how are we only fucking with half-decent AI right now? How is ChatGPT still like so flawed? How is it that I asked the Meta AI, who are the prettiest women alive, or like the hottest women alive, and it gave me a list of women that were dead? Maybe I would have rathered some like modern day. I don't know, Meta. Damn. It's like, it's still so primitive and infantile, but in a way it is brilliant. I had an AI judge one of my articles. It was kind of very well done. But for like, while the judgment is very well done, questions that are so simple sometimes are answered with such an infantile perspective. I'm just going back. Are answered with such an infantile perspective that it like doesn't make any sense. Just wait till the car passes. It literally doesn't make any sense, This is a weird world. Kind of a scary world. And what's ironic is, I live in Canada. I should not be scared of the world. I should be happy. I should say, thank you, my fellow Canucks, for your polite and beautiful conversation and ways. And instead, you know what? It's like there's still some sort, despite the fact that I'm the happiest guy for simply being alive and not worrying too much, There's still so much fuckery out there. It's kind of unbelievable. I've always wondered, why can't the people just treat each other with more respect? Why do we have to even get in conflicts? I mean, no matter how much people say war is complicated, war is not worth discussing as a result. You want to know what I think? War is overly simple. No? Want to know what I think? War is overly simple. War is the manifestation of violence for territorial warfare's sake. War is the eventual ownership or loss of territory, whether they disguise it in a pragmatic manner or they don't. War is to win or to lose as a leader, and it's almost like as leaders, they are As leaders, they are thinking of their citizens as pawns. Then they are on the chessboard, and they will always put the pawn first forward, not the leader, not the king or the queen, of course, because you couldn't, right? But that makes a statement of sorts. The ill intentions behind the matter, huh? Because the truth is all I can think is that every war, like there's an exception in my mind right now, okay? That is the 9/11 attack, where they took down 2 entire buildings, the Twin Towers. They devastated them to the ground. Okay, that country has got some serious answering to do. That is a brilliant point. Turn the situation around. A few soldiers shoot at a few other soldiers. That is the end of the conflict. There aren't thousands of citizens that died. It didn't create a massive trauma within the territory itself. I'm just gonna, Then it's a lot less understandable, perhaps not understandable at all, to start a war on the basis of an attack between soldiers. Yet it seems every time it happens, it's almost like it can lead to it. We rely on our leaders to be the responsible, well-guided ones who will proclaim for the advocacy of peace within our system. Yet it seems that we cannot truly trust them most of the way. Because not only will their corruption and their greed dictate their actions, but that will always lead to consequences. It's not a harmless venture at that point, of course. So, anyways, just gonna go. It's 27 minutes. Yeah. Take care and be well. I love you, and more videos coming soon. Bye.